Let me start with your thoughts on Colorado. 2 games, a 3-2 win, 3-1 loss. What do you take from those two matchups?
Yeah, they're a hard team to play against. Again, they are very organized defensively. They like to press. They like to get into your space and make things difficult, minimize your time to set up attacks. I think when you get in the playoffs, everybody has to try to figure out at this point what approach they think is going to be the best for them to win games, to win a road game. So, we have to be prepared for different scenarios. They could come and sit in a mid-block. They're still active defensively. That's probably their greatest attribute is their activity on the defensive side, their ability to turn you over in different areas of the field and try to turn those into transitions. Good on set pieces, things like that we've got to be tight on. So, good team, good players. We don't know who they're going to have or not have. Obviously, they had a couple little dings there at the end of the season, which, from their perspective, I'm sure they never really want. But we have to prepare ourselves for whatever we might see and to be the best version of us. I think the result in Houston is a reminder that every play matters and every play can be the difference in a championship, or not even really a championship, but winning the West and or being in or out of the playoffs quickly. So I think that's one thing that we can take away from Houston is just that reminder that the game is and every play is precious when it comes to this time of year.
How different do they look if Mihalovic doesn't play this game, or if he's available the second game?
Yeah, I mean he's their player who has a lot of freedom to move around the field. He's very crafty. He's smart. His final product is really good. I don't know if they have per se a like for like switch for him, but they've got other guys who are going to put the shift in, who are going to give them the defensive work, who are good and competent on the ball. Jordy does a lot of things for them just to change again where the overloads are, and he's got a lot of freedom, like I said, to move around the field and set up different types of situations. Without him, they're maybe a little less calculated in that way, but they've got plenty of guys who can do the work and who are dangerous in their own right. So I mean, for us, we can't really look and try to suspect who's going to be there or not. We just got to try to understand what we might be facing from a collective standpoint and how we can solve the problems of the day and turn the game as much as we can into the things that we like to see on the field.
Does preparation change with the format? You're playing here, you got a week off, week of game 2, then there's a third game that's if you need it.
Yeah, I mean, I think because the games are a little bit farther apart, you have a better chance to look at each game sort of in its own isolation. Even though you're playing the same team, we can learn some things from the last time we played them just a couple weeks ago. We can, when this game is over here, we'll take some things away from this game and we'll have a little bit of time to prepare for the next one. So because the gap between the games is a little bit bigger than say it has been in the past, where you might play on a Saturday and then on a Wednesday, you get a little more time to recover and get the team out on the field to prepare for what's coming next. But it's always a challenge when you play a team 3 to 5 times a year, and it's you start to get to know each other really well, and you've got to find solutions inside of all of that. So we just got to deal with it. So right now we're just focused on we have one game at home, and it's important for us to get a result to set ourselves up for the next one.
Thanks
Sure, thank you.
We saw Joseph Peso and Julian in the starting 11 after some time off an injury. How are they progressing, and is Joseph back to 100? What do you say?
Yeah, Joseph is good. I mean, he's been training for most of the week. He had one day of extra kind of recovery, but he's been training. He looks good. Julian, his fitness level has been good. Part of it is want to get Julian some minutes because he had been out for so long, and in coming back he was getting like 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, and we wanted to get him going and ready for the playoffs, so get him some opportunity out in the last game. I thought solid job inside of the game, but we got to have everybody ready for this. The playoffs are a battle, and at any point you may have to call upon somebody to step in and do a role, or to start and do a role. And so we just wanted to have guys ready, and those guys are now ready to go. Same with Marco, who had been out, got him back last game, and put him in the lineup because he needs to get himself in rhythm and form and everything else as we get ready for the playoffs.
Hey Greg, I know that your first seasons at Galaxy as a Galaxy coach has been rough. I mean, so far this has been the most successful. whatever happened at decision day wasn't really what the fans expecting. But what is your recap overall for this season for the fans and for you overall?
Yeah, I'm really happy with the group, and given the changes that we made at the beginning of the year, where we were and the challenges that existed last year, to go and again get some roster revamping, because we rebuilt the team in some ways. Obviously, 2 new DPs, a few other new positions that were important. To see this group come together and win 19 games is incredible. To not lose a game at home shows that we've turned our home field back into a fortress with our fans, which is important because last year it was not. So I think we had 33 other games to try to get one more point, that would have separated us on that last day. Unfortunately, we on the last play of the season, we weren't able to make a play that would have solidified the West. To be honest with you, I think that hopefully in 5 weeks, whenever this is over, we'll have done a lot in the playoffs, and nobody really kind of remembers who wins the West if you can lift trophies and everything like that. It's all just really about positioning and getting yourself set up to have the best road and the best possible scenario to get to the finals. So we're disappointed, but it's behind us. We're disappointed for our fans, for ourselves, that we didn't close out that game and win the West that way. But ultimately, the regular season is really about seeding in many ways, and what your picture is going to look like as you compete to try to lift the cup, which is, I think, what everybody really wants in the end of it.
Thank you. Can we move? We'll move on to Josh.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for talking. Appreciate it. Real quick, just did you guys watch any of the wild card games, and is there any thoughts on sort of maybe the unpredictability of the league and guys showing up, teams showing up for one game and being able to uproot everything?
Yeah, I think I've mentioned it to our team on each day as we came back from the next day that, you see the road team come in Montreal. They hardly have any possession in the first half, and they're up 2-0. And then, as the league can always do it, 2-0 doesn't mean the game's over in MLS. It becomes 2-2, and it ends up going into shootout where the road team again finds the answer, the solution to winning. So just because you're home doesn't mean there's any guarantees. You've got to show up with the right intensity. You've got to execute in key moments. You've got to do a lot of things right still in the playoffs to advance or to put yourself in position to advance. Last night you saw a Vancouver team that just showed up with, in my opinion, with just a different level of collective commitment and organization and work rate, and they showed up like it was a knockout game, and their counterpart, probably maybe felt a little comfortable, like, hey, we're at home and we've been doing all right. We're gonna win this thing, and the other team shows up with, like I said, a lot of the things collectively working and guys working for each other and together, and all the little details were sorted out on Vancouver side, and they took advantage of their opportunities when they got them. So for me, the message was, you take nothing for granted. Just because we're at home and against the team we beat recently, it doesn't mean that we've won the game. We've got 90 minutes of work to do and execution in order to get things done. This is going to be a grind, and whatever this game looks like, we've got to be prepared to find the solution to make sure we come out on top.
Thanks, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for joining us, John. You can go ahead. Do you have a question?
Yeah, Greg, you mentioned the challenges of last year and the sort of new additions during the off season. I think we all saw what happened on the field. I wonder, off the field for you, what the biggest difference was around the group. Is it as simple as winning fun, losing not fun? What did you feel like was the biggest change from last year around the group?
Yeah, I think energy is really important. I think inside of our group there was just a different type of energy, a little more excitement. Last year I felt a lot of stress at the beginning of the year, especially just in the group. In going into games, I felt like there was just stress around, and inside, outside the club, there's just a lot of things that were going on. And when players go out to perform, they wear that a little bit too, because they know that if you do win, a lot of the stress can go away, because that's ultimately what people are here for and want to be a part of. So this year I just felt like the group, was a little lighter, a little younger, a little more dynamic, maybe enough guys that weren't a part of last year, bringing a fresh feeling to the group, and then you have the guys that were here from last year just absolutely not wanting to be a part or associated to what had happened the year before, and going to do everything they could through preseason to prepare. We had a first game against Miami, which everybody was really excited about, so it gave you this really big moment right at the beginning to the season for our fans, for us as players in preseason, to really focus our energies around kind of that first game. It wasn't just any old game. It was a game against Miami, against Messi in our stadium, which I think got people's attention right away and had us focusing on what was in front of us and not what was behind us. And then good results early. Obviously, winning solves a lot of problems, to be honest. It really does. But you win because of, in my opinion, you win because of a lot of things are in place and a lot of things are happening the right way, and that's why you get results. You don't just get results because you want to win. That doesn't work that way. You got a lot of pieces and details that are happening in the right way for teams to win 19 games in a season. A lot of things are going well, going right.
I know the ultimate goal is still very much in front of you, but for you, maybe you talk about this with the LA guys a lot, I don't know, but having played at the club, leading the club for several years now, what does it mean to be kind of, still looking for the trophy, but putting the Galaxy back in the conversation that people were used to this club being in the conversation of since '96?
Yeah, I think it's imperative. I mean, I think it's ultimately what the Galaxy name stands for, and that was a standard that was set in '96. This is a team that is going to compete and a club that is expected to compete for championships, and that's the expectation when we all come here, is to get the club back to that level or to be a part of clubs and teams that are at that level. And so everyone here that decided to come here, myself included, was with that ambition and mission in mind, and also with that responsibility in mind. And so it's been a process to build over the last few years. Obviously some different challenges that come along the way that you've got to find solutions to and overcome. But we feel like we're in a really good spot. We're not just happy to be in the playoffs, but we actually think we have a team that can compete to win the championship. But that also means you got to go out now and we've got to perform, and there's a whole process to getting to that moment, and it won't be an easy process. And so it's something that we're here for, and we accept the responsibility and pressure for it. Now we've got to go execute.
Great.
Good. Do you have anything else? I don't know if you...
Yeah, I had one.
Okay.
So no matter what happens on here Saturday,
Yep.
No matter who wins, still got to go to Colorado and get it done or whatever. I hadn't won there since 2017, I believe, before this year. What's so hard about going to Colorado besides the altitude?
Yeah, I mean, I think our last performance there was a good indication that we're capable of doing it. I think, again, I just think you got to go there, and the elements aside, you got to play, and you just got to push yourself through it, and you got to execute upon your style of play. You got to solve it, like I said before, solve the problems of the day. When we went there just a couple weeks ago, they came out and they really pressed us high, and they pressed us in pretty much a man-to-man scenario. We were where they expected us to be, and while that was happening, we were having a hard time getting into our game. And so once we reorganized that, I think we found the rhythm in our game, and we found space, and we were able to start to really attack. So I think, again, the elements are the elements. I think you got to go there and you got to execute upon your game plan. You can, again, solve the problems of the day, whatever the opposition is trying to do. We've got to be able to solve those problems, and then you got to execute. But this is, we showed on that day, it's certainly something that we can put in our back pocket as we go into this playoff round, and make sure that first we take care of home field, because if we do that, then we're going to get through this thing. But if we can give ourselves the opportunity to go to Colorado and maybe seal the deal, then that would be a great setup for ourselves. But we got to take care of Saturday first and foremost. Yeah.
Thank you all so
Thank
much.
you.
We're going to get Greg to his next thing.
Yep.
Aside from our team, everybody else available?
Yes, everybody is available. Yep. Thank you.
Thanks.